Hey guys, welcome back to Eversoul. In today's video, I wanted to take a look at a Korean tier list that I've been seeing, which is this one over on the right-hand side. Compare it a bit to the tier list that we've got going over on Pridewin for Global, and talk about some changes that I would personally see based on what I'm currently seeing in the game, and basically just have a bit of a brain dump on you guys. Like I said before, this game is so early on, and in idle games especially, early game to mid game to late game can change completely. So it's sort of one of those ones where even if you see tier lists and stuff like that, whatever you want to do, if you think something's going to be good, like go nuts for it, because these things evolve so fast and metas can shift so fast in these games based on scaling, and like level ups, getting skill ups, all that sort of stuff. So things change rapidly, but I just like to keep you guys up to date with what I'm seeing in the game, just so I can basically give you guys what I'm looking at when I make my decisions anyway. So over here we have this Korean tier list. Now some big changes is they've got Ayame at tier 0, where over here we've got her in tier B. Now that is probably because they're looking at her future usage. Like, keep in mind, the global tier list was based on chapters 1 to 8 or 1 to 9. So things change, but early on in these chapters, the damage the dots were dealing, it just wasn't impactful because you were more bursting down enemies. However, Ayame, the big thing is this passive. She uses it at the very start of battle. It goes up to 8 seconds on the enemy with the highest attack, and also increases their attack by 100%. So this, I definitely think in the future, she is going to be definitely top tier, because this alone is going to be fantastic. And the cool thing about this ability is if you do get an Ayame from the arena store, or if you get lucky enough and pull one, definitely test her out, because once you start pushing higher deficits, enemies have higher stats than your enemy anyway, and when you're doubling their attack and then making them attack their allies, it can actually provide a lot more damage for your team. And this doesn't care what level what ascension she is, so could be really nice in that one as well. Moving on from that, when we look at the top tiers here, as you can see, we've obviously got the Angel here, we got Petra, we got Talia, and Vivian. Over here, they've gone into this tier. We'll just sort of have a mush around and you can have a look. And I'll just call out the big differences that I see. To me, they don't seem to rate the Mika Siha combo, which I still think is really quite strong. The one that I want to note also is down here. Where is it? Where is she? I can't even see her on this list. There she is. Yeah, Jacqueline, right in front of me. So we both have Jacqueline up high. Now, the one thing I want to note about Jacqueline is because I'm using her and I'm in chapter 10 now with all level 100s, and I'm really struggling to make her survive anything. I think Jacqueline, you need decent ascensions and stuff to make her work, because she is in the back row. She will end up getting targeted by a few things. And if she doesn't have the stats, I think she's going to fall. But the big thing here is you can see in this tier that they've got Naya up in the same tier as Vivian. When I look at this, I think at the current, what I'm seeing in the game at the moment, Naya and Vivian would probably swap on this tier list. Keeping in mind, for early game, I still think Vivian's way better than Naya, but in this mid-game section, this is where Naya starts to overtake. She has a CC, and for some reason, when she starts leveling up, getting those skill ups, her damage just scales ridiculously, and she does a ton of damage. So Naya becomes really good. They've left her on the same tier. Everything else is fairly similar. Another unit that I think is going to come up from both of these tier lists is going to be Claire. When I look at chapter 14 to 16 clears, a lot of people are using Claire now. She's kind of like the free-to-play or the budget substitute to Angel, because it's too hard to pull dupes of her. So Claire becomes like one of the main tanks that people are using, which is cool to see. So I think she's definitely going to climb up in usage as well. The other thing here is over here in the Korean tier list, they have my girl Ira down at tier 4, like absolute trash tier. Basically what I've seen with Ira is that after about chapter 8, she does start to struggle in damage. Now, as a power carry, she still can deal some massive damage and stuff, but I just don't think you're going to push at as high of deficit. So it's still good for a fun playthrough, but yeah, she does drop off a bit. She may even go down to a B tier here. I haven't gotten my other account through 8-35 yet. I haven't been playing it as much, so I haven't been able to test out the Ira as much as I would like to. Another one that I want to make note of is Clara. Clara's knockback and just her general kit I've been finding really clutch in certain situations. So she's one that I think would go into like an A+ category at the moment. She can sort of definitely creep up. The other one is Rebecca. Now, I said in Rebecca last time that in chapter 7, she was so clutch for me. I hadn't been able to get her to work for me in chapter 9. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe she's falling off a bit. The other one that I really want to make note of is Meph. Meph here, I'm seeing her in like every replay at the moment for chapters, what is it? Like, you know, in those like later chapters. But keeping in mind, Wales will have her at high ascension. So one, she does support really well. But two is that they do have a high ascension, so her stats are going to be better anyway. But she does provide the extra crits, the defense break, and also a hard CC for the enemy target with the highest attack. So that is pretty solid. Now, as we go down through here, this was one that I was interested to see, is that over on Korea, they rate my girl Nicole. Nicole, as you know, is my favorite character in the game. And they rate her as like in the 3rd tier, which is very interesting to me. I definitely think she's going to be an amazing boss character, but I'm just wondering if they're getting use out of her in an assault formation where she is the main DPS. She doesn't really bring a hell of a lot else, but some raw DPS, but maybe that DPS is enough. She can also increase the crit damage that allies deal, so maybe she is being used for that similar role to what I'm seeing global players use Meph for. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see, but that's a very interesting one, and I don't have her at the moment, but I want to pull her and test her. Another one which both tier lists rate really pretty poorly is Prim. I think Prim's fantastic. I actually think Prim's got a really bulky heal, plus she provides offensive power, plus she provides defensive with your allies getting crit less. I think she's actually a really solid unit and is deserving of an A tier when we look at progressing through the game. And that's pretty much all the ones that I have key notes that I wanted to make on. Besides that, what else do we have in this top tier here for the Korean tier list? It's pretty solid. Honestly, like Catherine's just becomes, I feel like Catherine just becomes more and more and more relevant as you get higher and higher, because you start pushing more deficits and things start getting hitting harder, and invincibility is just something that's just hard to pass up. It's just so strong, especially if it times right and you're using your invincibility into the enemy main skills and stuff like that. It's just going to be super, super valuable. So Catherine just working super hard. Dora appearing to drop off a bit in her carrying capacity, but we'll have to wait and see how that continues to play out. But her and Catherine, amazing combo. But yeah, Dora, I think she just starts to get overwhelmed by the damage that comes in the later stages. And she can't tank it as well. But that's just what I've heard about her. Besides that, everything's pretty cool. I know there's a lot of Jade lovers out there. And I think Jade is solid. Where do they have Jade on this one? So they put her fairly low into the tier 2. Jade, I still think Jade's fantastic. She's very similar in the role that she fills to what Meph does, where it's like you're that supportive DPS. The problem with Jade, I think, is that Meph supports better as a secondary DPS because she doesn't need to use her ult. Jade's got massive value in her ultimate. But normally you're going to want to use an ultimate that's not just the damage. So I think that's where Jade isn't getting used as much as Meph. Like I said, also on top of that is that Meph is in the banner, so easier to get copies and stuff like that. But, you know, that's sort of what we're looking at. In general, I feel like the top 3 tiers are just all pretty solid units in both of these tier lists. And everything else just got to get ironed out and find their spots. But let me know if you guys have done any testing. Like I said, none of this is definitive. These games change so quickly in what is meta, depending on early, mid, late game. And then once you get everyone into late game, the meta continuously changes because we get new heroes. Some things will be outclassed, some things will have different synergies, and it'll keep changing. Then you've got arena meta, boss meta, campaign meta, then you'll have faction tower meta. There's so many things. So in general, if you like a hero, just build it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.